You know, it's hard to remember all that stuff when you only do it once a year, especially for us old guys, not talking about anybody in particular here. Well, I don't know if you heard or read about a protest by Christians outside of a Mustang, Oklahoma elementary school recently. It seems that the 5th grade Christmas play included references to Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, and witches demonstrating pagan holiday rituals, but not a single reference to the birth of Christ. Now, is this really that hard to figure out? You either have to go with A, make Christmas all about Santa Claus with no religions, reference, or B, make Christmas be all about all religions, or C, make it all about the birth of Jesus. But you can't make a Christmas play be about all religions other than Christianity. That just makes no sense. I don't blame those people for protesting that. Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about family. And most of us fit into one of two categories. Those who really enjoy being around family over the holidays, and those who barely survive being around family over the holidays. Now, did you know that younger people, Gen X and Gen Y, are now placing a higher emphasis on family than even their baby boomer or Gen X parents did? Rolling Stone magazine recently reported, or they asked people, young Americans, what are your greatest hopes in life? And 43% of young Americans listed their desire for a happy home life and to have children someday. 92% of those surveyed said that they hope to someday get married and have children. That doesn't really look like that's accurate. But when asked, how are strong family ties important to your happiness and sense of well-being? 93% of American young people answered in the affirmative. Now, no one really predicted this, but it seems like more young people these days are returning to some of those traditional family values, like the importance of family and the need for such qualities as honesty and caring and affection in the home. A lot of people want to have good families. The problem is they just don't know how to bring it about because many of them come from broken and dysfunctional families. In fact, fragmented families have become the norm in our society. And yet, in spite of all of the factors working against it, most people still long to somehow have the meaningful relationships and happiness and security they seem to intuitively feel or know should be experienced in a family. So today I thought I might take a look at the 4 main characters in the Christmas story, Joseph and Mary, Zachariah and Elizabeth, and use their experiences together to highlight what is a family for. And as we talk about these things, I hope that you'll reflect on whether or not these qualities and these traits were present in the family you grew up in or the family that you're in now. Now, I think it goes without saying that not all families fit the traditional American family mode. Where dad is the primary breadwinner, and mom stays home with the kids. In fact, today in our country, only 11% of our families, fit that description. And not all Christian families are the same. There are single-parent Christian families. There are blended Christian families. There are childless Christian families. There are dual-career Christian families. And everybody here, young or old, single or married, we're all a part or a member of a family. So today's question is, what really is a family for? And just using what we see in the Christmas story, I want to mention 3 very important roles or functions behind God's design for families. What's a family for? Number 1 is to celebrate with each other. Now, for everybody who might not be that familiar with the Christmas story, it mostly revolves around one couple, Joseph and Mary, who, of course, had a baby boy, gave him the name Jesus. However, there is another lesser-known couple who play what might be considered supporting actor and actress roles, and that is Zachariah, who was a priest, and his wife Elizabeth, who was actually a cousin to Mary. And their son of Elizabeth and Zachariah would be given the name John, later called John the Baptist. He was kind of the PR for Jesus guy, the PR guy for Jesus, before he went out. In Luke chapter 1, it describes Zachariah the priest and Elizabeth his wife as wonderful people with big hearts toward God and others. But in Luke 1, verse 7, it says, they had no children because Elizabeth was barren and they were both well along in years, probably like 40, well along in years. However, in verse 14, it says that God answered their prayers for a child. And it says, he will be a joy and a delight to you, and many will rejoice because of his birth. Well, then down in verses 28 through 38, an angel appears to Mary and gives her the mind-boggling news that she too is going to have a child, but not just any child. This baby would be God's child, the Messiah, the Savior. And the whole rest of Luke chapter 1 tells about how these women and their husbands, they celebrated together. It uses words like they were leaping for joy. They were rejoicing. They were saying, God has done great things for us. And they shared their joy with other members of the family. And that's one of the things that families are for, to celebrate the good things in life with each other. It's one thing to experience one of life's highs all alone. It's a whole different thing to experience one of life's highs when you're surrounded by the people that mean the most to you. Like when you give birth, or when you get married, or when you get baptized, or you hit that hole-in-one, or you get that big promotion, or you get to go on that dream vacation. We each have the ability to make life so much richer for each other when we celebrate, the good things of life together. All right, well, that brings us to a second aspect of what a family is for, and that is to face uncertainty together. Sooner or later, we all go through rough times. Life doesn't always go as we think it would. It's tragedies, it's setbacks, it's disappointments, heartbreaks. They all have a way of, intruding into our otherwise well-planned lives. And we need, when hard times come, when the storms of life hit, we seek a place of protection and security. And Proverbs 14, verse 26 says, reverence for the Lord gives a man deep strength, and his children have a place of refuge and security. Now, as much as we all like to believe that'll never happen to me, those bad things could never come to our family, the fact is no marriage and no family is immune from storms. And for our characters in the Christmas story, adversity came in kind of some unusual ways. In Matthew chapter 1:18, it says that Mary was pledged to be married to Joseph. It was kind of like how we view an engagement. You're not yet married, but you've gone on record, you publicly pledged, to get married someday. So they were not married, but Mary was pregnant. That didn't look too great for these upstanding religious people. But then an angel appears to Joseph and tells him that Mary is still a virgin. What is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. Well, as much as Joseph probably wanted to do what was right before God, this was a tough test. And it didn't end there. In Matthew chapter 2, just after Jesus' birth, King Herod heard of the supposed new king that was born, and he sent out soldiers to search for and kill this potential one-day threat to his throne. And that's why Joseph and Mary, when they caught word of this, they quickly fled far away to Egypt. And they stayed in Egypt for several years, all alone, away from family, away from friends, away from everything they knew. Families are not only to celebrate together, but they're also to be there together, for each other. Well, as most of you know, my family has been going through some uncertainty recently, and I've asked Jana to come up here and give you a little update. And first of all, I want to say something. It may be a little confusing when you come here on Sunday and you go, well, Russ and Jana, they certainly seem like everything's fine. Everything's good now, right? Not really. Not really. And part of what we have determined to do is to choose joy over anxiety. It's not easy to do. To choose trust over worry. And so we're not faking it when we're here being that way, But we're learning to compartmentalize our lives. And as some of you know, sometimes you just have to do that. You just have to buckle up and just do what you need to do. We love being here with you guys. It's fun. It's replenishing to us. Hopefully it is to you also. But just because we seem like we're okay here, it doesn't mean that we're okay all the time.
Well, one of my favorite verses has always been Jeremiah 29:11. And many of you know that verse, and probably you've lived by it too, but it's, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." And I cannot tell you how many times I have said to God, "God, if you'll just tell me the plan, if you'll just tell me what's going to happen, I promise I can learn to be okay with it." Have you ever said that? Yeah, we all have. But that's not how God works, is it? And I'm learning why. I recently came across a Bible teaching that was just so good, and they used the metaphor of an hourglass. And I want you just to kind of visualize I'm holding an hourglass here. And you know how an hourglass works? The sand kind of trickles down a little bit at a time, right? And that's kind of how God does us in life. He gives us a little bit at a time. Do you know why? We can't handle it. If that hourglass dumped over and we saw everything that was going to happen to us in our life, we could not handle it at one time, could we? I couldn't. So when I'm praying, God, just show me, tell me the plan, I don't want to know the plan, I guess, even though I think I do. So that's kind of where we are right now. We're watching the hourglass right now. I have also discovered that I don't do well with uncertainty. I don't know if you do, but if I know what's going to happen, I feel like I can kind of get ready for it, get myself prepared for it. But if I don't, it's kind of hard. But the truth is, none of us knows what the future might hold, right? None of us know if we'll be here tomorrow. That's for sure. But the situation we're in is kind of difficult and tricky because we're living in a house watching it every day. So it's not like, somebody could get killed in a car wreck. We're watching it every day, and it's a lot harder. A metaphor we've been giving people is, if you can imagine someone being in a wheelchair, just imagine someone being in a wheelchair. We've all seen people in wheelchairs. And can you imagine how cruel it would be if you went up to them and you said, "Get up and walk"? And they say, "I can't walk." "Get up and walk. You're not trying. Get up and walk." Can't walk. Well, there's some days that Matthew can't walk. There's some days he can walk. There's some days he can sprint a little. There's some days that there's not much of anything happening. And you can't make someone who's in a wheelchair get up and walk. You can't. We're not going to give up. We're continuing to manage and to navigate this, the best that we can. But there's a lot of uncertainty. And I'll be real honest with you, and I'm telling you this in hopes that maybe it will help you if you're going through things too, or maybe you're about to and you don't know it yet. Sometimes life sneaks up on us that way. But the trail of uncertainty we were going down wasn't very good. I started thinking, what if? Well, what if he doesn't make it? What are we going to do? And what will we do for Christmas? And how will Michael and Megan be? And what if something happens to Russ? And how am I going to manage that? And you can see the trail that I was going down that was not a good trail. But God's teaching us patience. And he's teaching us that we cannot control everything. And he's teaching a planner, and me a semi-planner, I guess, that we can't plan everything. The phrase "one day at a time" is definitely a part of our vocabulary these days. But we know that God will see us through. Life is really like a roller coaster. And Russ and I have had lots of highs in our life, not being high, lots of highs. We've had lots of highs. I don't know where that came from, probably just the ambiance from next door. But lots of highs in our life. But right now, we're experiencing some pretty low lows. But there's going to be highs again. We know that, just like there will be for you too. Did you know that in the Bible, 365 times it says, "Do not be afraid"? What does that tell you? 365 times. That's one for every single day. Every single day, God knew that we needed to hear, do not be afraid. Do not worry about tomorrow. And we're leaning on that. And just to be clear, our faith is strong. And this isn't about faith for us. It's not about trusting God for us at all. We totally trust God. It's not about that. The word I would use to describe us isn't lack of trust, but it's just sadness. We're just sad. We're sad for our kid. We're sad for our family. We're sad for what might happen. But yet we're still optimistic too for what God could do and what he could change and do. So we're kind of in the middle of both of it. Probably the easiest way to imagine it is, and I know we've all had these, and I know people in this room have had this. I know it personal stories from you. But we've all had shattered dreams, haven't we? We all thought that something would go a certain way, and then it doesn't. And then we have to adapt, and we have to be okay with it, and we have to trust God. And a lot of you guys are doing it. I know your stories, and that's what we're doing too. We're trusting God. Some days it's just survival for us, but there's a lot of good days too. So just in closing for my part, Russ and I just wanted to say thank you. We wanted to say thank you to our church family because, it's hard. It's really hard. And there's even been some uncertainty for us, not in a big way, but, just if something bad happens, how will our church respond? How will people think of us? So we're just asking for you to continue to pray. And we just want you to know that we're happy. We are. We're choosing it. But it's still hard. So keep praying for us. We don't want to burden you. We know that everyone has hard things. But we're in a public situation. And I've been honest with my students at OU while also protecting Matthew. And I think we're doing okay.
Well, and we wanted to say today in this that we know we're not the only people here who've been going through some tough times. And so, we know that you understand what it is to go through things that are uncertain. Matthew has a condition that is...
it's a mental health situation.
It isn't, it's treatable, but it never goes away. It never changes.
Yeah, and it's tricky to treat.
Yeah, it is. But we know that you guys have things that you go through too. And so we wanted to say how much we appreciate what you guys have done for us during this time. And again, that you would have strength to go through the things that you're facing, because we know we're definitely not the only ones. So.
Yeah, and also we just wanted to explain, because if there's a time we just can't be here, we want you to know why. We're going to always be here every time we can, but there might be a few times we can't. And we just want you to know why. So we just want to say thank you. We love you.
All right, thank you. Well, sooner or later, every family is going to have problems, tough times, but God's design and God's desire is that families be there and go through that uncertainty together, united. So, what's a family for? Number one, to celebrate with each other. Number two, to face uncertainty together. And number three, to serve and follow God together. In Luke chapter 2, Mary and Joseph, they left Egypt. They returned to their homeland, and they're living in the city of Nazareth. And in chapter 2, verses 41 and 42, it tells us that they faithfully participated in all of the various Jewish religious practices, and they raised Jesus in that kind of environment. And as a result, verse 52 says that Jesus grew in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man. A survey recently that appeared in Better Homes and Garden magazine reported that 77% of the people in our country believe that the American family is in trouble. Probably most of us would be among those. The same survey went on to say that the majority of people polled said that religion or spiritual issues are or should be important to the American family. Now, this is not a Christian magazine. It's just that the majority of people these days are beginning to realize the importance of and the benefits of having spirituality, having God as a part of your family dynamic. And so today I want to commend all of you who are facing head-on, tackling the challenge of trying to have a Christ-centered family. And on each week around here, I see more and more people taking steps toward making God, a bigger, more important part of your life. And that's a really smart thing, and I urge you to keep it up and keep moving forward regardless of how difficult it might be sometimes, because, you'll serve, when you serve and follow God together, a family has many, many benefits that will come your way. Now, of course, the only way your family can serve and follow God together is if at first each member of your family makes the personal choice to follow and serve God. So I want to ask men here, have you chosen to serve and follow God for your life? And to the women, have you chosen to serve and follow God? And to the young people, have you made that decision yourself, not based on your parents or your, grandmother or whatever, but you made a personal decision yourself to serve and follow God? The only way a family can do it, right, is the more people that join in and say, yeah, this is the kind of family we want to be. We want to celebrate together, we want to face uncertainty together, and we want to serve and follow God together. Christmas doesn't really have as much to do with the receiving and giving of gifts to each other as much as it has to do with God giving a gift to the world. The greatest gift anyone could ever receive, and that is, the gift of eternal life through Jesus Christ, his death on the cross. All right, right now, to end this service, the kids are going to come in right now. Right now, they're going to come in. Oh, right now, the kids are going to come in. Come on in here, Theo. There you go. Wait, you really weren't supposed to come up here, but that's all right. Yeah, you guys come on up here. Come on. Come on. There you go. Oh, you guys are going to love this. We got little kids and everything. And we have a special surprise here. It's coming up. Here it comes. I hear music. Oh no! Look, it's Santa Claus.